Hey guys, what's going on? It's Dokkanic here, and today I am bringing you a follow-up video for the one I released earlier today, which was the current state of Dokkan Battle video. This continuation is going to be what makes a good gacha game and how Dokkan Battle meets or doesn't meet this criteria. This is my second take on this. The first one I ended up having my microphone muted, and after about 10-15 minutes of me recording, I realized that. So just to restate from what I stated in my last video, a gacha is a digital lottery game where you use in-game money or in-game currency to purchase a chance to take chance in a lottery in order to get rare items. So we're going to be following up with a website called chartboost.com, which goes into the gacha tips for creating a successful game lottery. The first question they ask is, what is the key to running a successful gacha monetization mechanic? Now, just for me to start really quick, while I go over this, I'm going to be rating this on a scale of between 1 to 5, 1 being horrible, 5 being great, 3 being average. 3 does not mean it's bad, does not mean it's good, it means it is meeting the requirements of what a game should meet. It doesn't exceed any type of value, but it is not by any means bad. The first one we're going to go over to answer that question. Again, the question is, what is the key to running a successful gacha monetization mechanic? Arto Huta, which is a monetization expert at Flare Games, his first statement is focused on a lottery value and player engagement. I would have to give this a 5 to Dokkan Battle because lottery value is super high. A lot of the banner cards on these banners or on these lotteries are really good. A lot of these cards are god leads. A lot of these cards have really good passive skills. They enhance the current meta of the game. Let me know what you guys think, and while I'm going through these, take note of the questions and let me know what you guys think. Give me your ratings if you think that they should be higher or lower, or what you perceive the game to be. With that being said, we're going to move on to the next question or the next statement. Make it work for all types of players, long-term and casual. I gave this a 3. I think the global version at least is a 3. At this time, it's still in the prime for free-to-play and for pay-to-play players. You can go and you can put money into the game. You can get the really good leaders, but you have options for LR units that come out and for other events that are coming out, for like essentially the World Tournament, for event grindable characters like the GT events. The characters aren't that great, but you could still grind them, and they are used for the LR cards. You need in the LR Frieza event that's coming out and the LR Goku event that's currently out on global. You need to use free-to-play characters. The next one is create an in-game economy where the value of the items within the game makes it worthwhile. All users must win. All reward types are attractive. I would say for the global version, we're currently at a 4. I think they do a good job at that. JP, I feel like it's bordering to a 3. The major reason for the videos that have come out have been because JP has not been tailored or is not meeting the requirements for free-to-play players. They feel like they're getting shafted, and I kind of agree with them. I would have to say that the JP version is definitely tailored right now at this point in its life cycle towards a pay-to-play player with all the god leads that are coming out. If you're looking at my screen, I'm going to jump over to that JP side, and I'm just going to go over it really quick. Look at this. You have 3. I'm assuming this is 3 guaranteed SSR for Arale. I'm pointing to the screen like you're here with me. You have the Intelligence Boo 120 lead. You have the Super 17 physical lead. You have the Super Saiyan 3 Goku tech lead. You have the physical cooler lead, and you have the Super Saiyans, the Super Saiyan 4s. All these are 120 leads. These 120 leads, they're not easy to grab. JP, as you can see here, tailored towards people paying to try and get those cards. Outside of that, all the cards on here, yeah, they had some older leads that were useful. You can see over here they had some Moss, they had Strength Cell, they had Broly. Easier rates most likely to get those, to pull those. In terms of in-game events, they didn't really release anything. They had a couple they had what, 1 or 2 world tournaments. I believe it was 2 world tournaments since then. They just now released quests since. Well, they just released them on global, what, 2-3 months ago, I believe it was, or 3 months ago, maybe more. The new events that had just come out, and remember, we're about 4 or 5 months behind the JP version. That's kind of a problem. With that being said, guys, I don't think it meets the requirements on the JP side. I would have to give that, I would say a 2.5. I don't want to, I really don't want to say it's stuff 2. You know, yeah, we're going to have to give it a 2. JP, I want to give that a 2. They definitely don't meet the requirement. They're losing their fan base because they're not catering towards the free-to-play players. Again, I know I rambled on. The question was, or the statement was, to create an in-game economy where the value of items within the game make it worthwhile. All users must win. All reward types are attractive. I don't see that being a thing in the JP version at this point in time. The next one is lucky rolls in early game should not break the game, and common rolls should never become obsolete. I gave this a 3 for both. I don't think that the early in-game cards broke the game whatsoever. The game wasn't really broken until Gogeta came around, and even then it was really trying to figure out how to amplify your team for the best technique to attack a character. Common rolls should never be obsolete. I think they meet that with the Dokkan Awakenings or the Rebirths of the cards. It keeps them from being obsolete. Not all of them are great. They're typically support units. Some of them get rebirth to decent leaders, some like demigod leaders, I guess you would call them. It's a key multiplier plus HP attack and defense plus a smaller percentage than the current gods. I gave that a 3. The next question is, how can Gacha generate value throughout the user lifecycle? This one was answered by an Adam Telfer, who is a product lead at mobile game company Wooga. His statement was, offer rare prizes for anyone who plays the in-lottery game. We kind of already talked about that. I gave him a 4 or 5 out of that. Oh no, I'm sorry, a 5, because they met that requirement. Rare prizes for anyone who plays in-game lottery. Everything that you grow to grab is rare. Even if it's not specific to really super rare leads, you have really good options here for the type banners, the attribute type banners. You get those Elder Kais. You have double rate banners that have those LRs now. You have the Raleigh banner, which is a special banner. We're going to go a little bit more into that into detail a little bit later, but we have these events on these gachas, on these lotteries. Offering less rare prizes with alternative value, I gave that a 4 also. A lot of these newer cards, especially on the JP version, have a lot of options to grab the old leads, the old god leads, so if you're pulling, chances are you're going to pull them. They have higher pull rates, and they are still useful in the meta of the game, and they could be used against the new gods that came out, the 120 god leaders. Next statement, or next question is, but what happens if a player doesn't win something rare in the gacha? This one was answered by Harry Holmwood. He's the co-founder of a mobile game studio called The Secret Police. His statement was to allow lesser value items to be fused for a second chance to become a greater value. I would have to say that meets a 3 because that's the Baba Shop. That would be equivalent to the Baba Shop. I played Bleach Brave Souls, as I mentioned in the last video. We can fuse 2 3-star items, which can be garbage, into a 4-star item, which can be completely different, and it can have a really great value. Say you could take 2 capes, which increase defense, and then they can become chappies, which gives you an all-around stat boost, just minuses your spiritual pressure, which is great for melee-only characters. So I would have to give them a 3 for that because they have the Baba Shop. Not all the items are great, but it's definitely worthwhile. If you're free to play, it can be useful. Make everything in game useful. Everything does. They found a good way to fix the duplicate system. They found a way to increase character stats to keep the characters, prevent characters from going obsolete. The duplicate system helps with that as well, and they rebirth all their old cards. There's really not much more I can say on that, guys. I'm gonna have to say, make everything in game useful. Yeah, they're going to get a 4 out of that, just because the older cards, I would have to say, not all of them get good rebirths, and they're still not that useful. Or when they get a flat-out boost, they might only be useful for a short period of time before they're not useful anymore. Next one is, how do you drive interest? Increased chance, and again, this is still Harry Holmwood. Increased chance of receiving a super rare item on a given day. Event can drive retention, such as weekly raids or seasonal gachas. Now, this is definitely something I just mentioned a little bit before. You have your 2-time rate banner with the LRs in it. You have the Raleigh banner. You have your guaranteed SSR banners, your attribute type banners. These are all special type banners. The attribute banners, you typically get, the level is maxed out. They're not awakened, but you get a maxed out level. If you have some of those SR dupes that you want to feed into your SSRs once you awaken them, I would definitely have to say that this meets a 4 on how to at least drive the interest. We're going to go ahead and move along here. Now we're moving on to a different site called Gamastra.com. Sorry if I'm really butchering that. It's pretty odd name. Let's see. The two things that are becoming popular: PvP and RPG. No one really talked about an RPG version of this game. I don't see how they would do that, just because of the way the game works. It's really just a card game. You have a card game with some story events. The story events are pretty linear. You can't really do anything with that. PvP has been talked about a lot. Races, things like that. I feel like that would be a good way for the company to go. I don't know if they're ever going to do that. They have it sort of on the World Tournament, but that's really just a grind fest. There's nothing that we really enjoy doing on the World Tournament except for getting those guaranteed SSR tickets. But at this point in the game, if you're a pay-to-play player or if you've been playing for a long time, you don't really see those cards being worthwhile unless you're a collector. If you are a collector of the cards, then they're going to be worthwhile because you want to make sure you get them, the SSRs at the end of the game. That are World Tournament specific. That kind of meets on the last subject about increased chance of receiving a super rare item on a given day or event. That kind of touches on that. Well, let's move on. Free-to-play games adopting a gacha model tend to introduce new units in a gacha every 2 weeks or every month. We do that. This is something that Dokkan does, but this is a big but. Introducing units with high frequency usually makes it difficult to manage complicated game balance, and it tends to inflate unit performance. That is a major problem. That is something that's going on. That is something that we see on the JP version. These characters are coming out so OP, at least because of the leader skills, and then they have amazing passive skills as well. These units are just too OP for the game at this time. The meta has literally changed in the course of, let's scroll down over here. November of 2016, that's when the physical leaders came out. And this is the end of the meta right here, in November. And then we jump over here. Once we get the final demigod lead, 2 months later, the new meta starts. Now, I kind of see this because they're saying, new gachas come out every 2 weeks to a month. I feel like a meta should stick around for maybe at least 3 months before a new one drops. We have to understand, it was a full 2 months before the new meta came out, but they had so many events. They only had a couple events come out. I think that's really what the biggest problem was. We only had, it was during the Christmas special. So we had the November meta of the Super and Villains. Then we had the Cell. Then we had the Trunks. Then we had the Merge Zamasu. And then we had the Vegeta event come out. And then right after the Vegeta event, boom, we got hit with the Super Saiyan 4s. That was our problem. We went so quick, so far, so fast, and we didn't have time to enjoy the cards. We didn't have time to enjoy using them. All these new cards started coming out, and we kind of felt like we bought. It's like buying a brand new car, a Ferrari, this year, and then 4 months later they come out with a brand new Ferrari that is completely different and changes the entire game. It's not that great. You look at your car like, oh, you're the old one. You have a great car, but you have the old one. If you see it that way. I mean, don't get me wrong. These again, like I stated before, these cards are still good. Let's not dwell on it. Let me move on to the next. This also kind of touches on the same thing. Rapid inflation of unit performance shortens the practical period when users' units will exert its strength and reduce the user's willingness to purchase. Very true. That's how we're feeling right now. They're releasing them too fast. They're releasing too many more powerful cards. They went from 70% leads to 120, which is almost double the amount of damage output. Everyone wants to go for them. Too much money gets spent. We don't want to pay money for the game. Now, TCGs, or trading card games, digital ones, usually go for a longer interval of about 2 to 3 months before they introduce new units. This game is a trading card game. Well, it's not really a trading card game, but it's a card game. These units come in as cards. Look at this, 2 to 3 months before they introduce brand new units. Now, I'm not saying let's do that, because that would be way too long. I mean, look how much of a wasteland we felt on the global side of things when they just started going super slow. I mean, we had, what did I say? February. That was 2 full months. Right, we had 2 full months between events where we just didn't have anything that we wanted. We had nothing to do. It was not that great. But I think the problem with that wasn't that we weren't getting new cards. I think we would have been content if we had new cards. We just didn't have any events to play. With that being said, I think that from the Maester.com, this article, I think that this is really where we're falling short. I would have to say, in terms of the way that they release content and how fast they do it and the inflation of the cards, that's definitely a 2, maybe even down to a 1. Just to go over it really quick, just from top to bottom, focus on lottery value. 5, make it work for all types of players. 3, create in-game economy where the value of the items within the game work for make it worthwhile. All users must win, and reward types are attractive. I gave 4 for global at this point in time, which is going to drop down to 2 because JP is currently at a 2. Lucky rolls and lucky rolls early game don't break the game. Yep, that's true. Common rolls should never become obsolete. The 2 of them mixed together gave a 3. Gacha peaks perceived after 10 values have a problem. I would say based off of single summons, I would say after 20. But that's just myself. You may say after 10, and you may say less. I gave it a 3 because I feel like it meets the requirements. You might feel it's different. I think that one's really based off of opinion. Offer rare prizes for anyone who plays the in-game lottery. Yeah, you have a high chance of getting them. The rates have been really good. They've been over 10% on almost every banner. Offer less rare prizes with alternative values. I think they meet that as well, because if you don't get a banner SSR, most of these cards have been Dokkan Awakened to something good. Allow lesser value items to be fused for second chance. Baba Shop meets the requirement, nothing special. Make everything in game useful. I think that's a 4. I think they do a decent job of making everything useful in game. How to drive interest, increasing super rare items to being events and seasonals. I think that they do meet that. And then we just went over the last one. I won't have to say it again. In terms of rapid release and rapid inflation, they definitely get a 2, maybe even a 1. With that being said, guys, I think that this game is an average gacha game at this point. I think that if JP continues down this route, however, with the constant rapid releases and the inflations, I think that it's going to drain itself out. I think they're just trying to tap the players for their money. And I think that they're going to kill themselves just by doing this. They should be following the recipe for success instead of the recipe for failure. I also understand, I believe, I don't have it up, I remember reading of an article that stated Gacha games can extend themselves for up to 10 years if they want, and they could make, let's say, $14, but over the course of those years, the actual value of the years of it being open is less than the value that they would make by milking everyone for what they're worth over the course of 5 years. With that being said, they're in it to make money. You need to understand that. As long as we're willing to pay, they're going to stay around. The biggest issue is we drop so much money in, it's not constant, it's not going to be sustainable, nothing is sustainable, nothing like that anyway is sustainable. It's really up to the company to try to stick around after the proceeds start to dwindle. For all the criteria of what makes a game good, I feel like they are doing, I would say, an overall, they are a 4. But that last piece from Gamastra, where they stated that they could dig their own graves by releasing too much content too fast with a huge increased inflated performance of units, they're really going to kill themselves on that one area. But it is only one area. But what do you guys think? Let me know. Thanks, guys. Appreciate taking the time to listen. Remember, as I always say, be bold in life and have no regrets. You all have a good night.